Hello, everybody. Welcome to the World of Brickfilms podcast. I'm your host, William of AW Studios. Joining with me, as always, is my good friend and co-host, Sean Willis of City Penta.
Hello again.
And today we have a special guest, Corey Pines, who is, I believe, doing this is also kind of counts as a face reveal as well.
It would be, yeah. I've never done one in my Corey Pines account before or anything like that, so it's like, I don't know, it's kind of just like, why not? I don't know.
After having switched over to webcams on for the podcast, we're not forcing anybody, but
not at all.
Yeah, it's like if they're cool with it, then they can have their camera on, but they can have it off if they want. But yeah, here we are, the exclusive Corey Pines face reveal.
We're gonna change it.
It's about time.
We're gonna change now to Brickfilmers exposed. That's the podcast.
I'm gonna get one of those Lego articles tomorrow on Instagram or something like that, and then Corey Pines face, and it's just gonna I don't know. It's like I don't mind though.
Yeah, people will make AI edits for your dancing to some.
Oh god! I had people when sometimes that's voice acting, hey, can you voice this character? And then they would be like, oh yeah, sorry, what type of hair do you have in real life in this type of thing? And then they get really descriptive about so what do you look like? And I was just like, ugh.
Can you send me a picture?
Yeah, literally. And then I think at one point, I remember from my old my personal Instagram account, I have my YouTube link there because I always did. And then I went to my friends your link's there because I started getting followers immediately of just Lego Studios, just all these random accounts. I'm like, oh, that's okay. I mean, that's kind of expected, but just all right. So
that is really funny though, because you've got quite a distinctive sig fig. It was Kite Man.
I had it right here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kite Man. Yeah. I made a little stand from Susie.
Oh wow.
Red cam. Susie will be here with us anyway. There we go.
Nice. I'm assuming that you set that up specifically for the podcast.
I did, yeah.
Nice. But yeah, no, it is funny that people would be like, oh yeah, we need to make it accurate to the way you look when it's you got the sig fig that's really iconic.
I got the sig fig. Yeah.
I wonder, currently, does it feel like people make sig figs more based on themselves or more so just a figure that they like?
I feel like it's more just on themselves, because I've already seen ones kind of like Kite Man or those other types of ones. It's mainly just they would just get a realistic a figure or something like that, just with let's say with glasses or something like this and just regular hair. It's where you see them be a not more creative, but just something unique with a little helmet or something like that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it definitely used to be more so it's supposed to look like the person, although it wasn't always. There always have been a couple of people who had sig figs that weren't supposed to look like them at all, but they were still known to be their sig fig. I want to ask a question, and I feel like I might have asked it before, but if I have, I've forgotten the answer, which is, why was your YouTube channel created in 2006?
Oh my, I don't know, actually, you never asked that, but that was a good one. But it was because when I was a kid, I remembered, I just went up to my parents I want to make a YouTube video, because I watched a bunch of animations, and I was very young. I think I was 8, and I was I want to make a YouTube video. And again, since I was 8, I didn't have an account or anything, so my parents just logged me onto their account, and I just uploaded videos there. And then after a few years, I just it started getting decently grand, and I changed the name of it because it was their username as just a regular thing, so I changed it Corey Tunes and stuff like this. But then when I started getting really popular, it's just okay, so I was looking at the date thing, and I was oh, created in 2006. Oh, that's not going to hold up. People are going to think I'm incredibly old, even though I'm only 19. So that's just going to be it's I made this count a year after I was born.
Yeah. I did have that moment where I was what the hell is YouTube channel's older than mine?
Yeah, no, I get questions of that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Just randomly older than I thought for some reason, but no.
It would have been funny. It would have been funnier if it was 2007, because that's the year that we can't seem to escape from when it comes to Brickfilmers.
I really just connected a chain. I remember, what was it? The Pines and Corey Pines. The reason I had that was when I was again a kid. I didn't want every single person to know my full legal name on my YouTube channel. just like my full name in studios. I was like, that doesn't sound good, because again, I was like, when I was a kid, I loved the show. I still love it, Gravity Falls, and it's like the Pines family. So as a kid, I was like, Corey Pines, that sounds like a nice ring to it. So I kept it as just that. And then I remember I got a comment a while back of just like someone be like, "Are you related to like Stan and Dipper Pines?" And I was like, "Yes, I am." And they're like, "Oh my god, can you say hi to them for me?" And I said, "Yeah, no, of course I will."
Yeah, that was another question I had. I mean, I know. Well, I know. Eventually, I learned. Oh, it's not his real name. But like, when I first encountered your channel, I was like, Pines. That doesn't sound like an Irish surname at all.
Yeah, no. Yeah, no.
So I was kind of always wondering, like, maybe it's just an alias.
It was a bit of an alias, sure. I was in film camp last year, and people just started knowing me about my YouTube account. Because I remember I told one person the first day, just trying to get to know people, and he walked up to people like, "Do you know who this guy is? He is Corey Pine Studios." And then I think like a few days into film camp, when we walked up to like my door for like the rooms, it said my actual name on it. And they're like, "What? You lied to us? That's not it. That's Corey. That's Corey Talbot. That's not Corey Pines. Why would you lie to us about that?" So I was like, "I didn't lie. You just never asked my last name."
Was it so? Were people familiar with your channel like beforehand, or is that something that they discovered like from you being there? Like,
they discovered it from me being there, because on the first day it was like that thing was like I wouldn't say speed anything, but it's just like 30 seconds to introduce yourself to someone, then go to the next person. So I started like running out of things to say. So at one point I was like, "Oh, I have a YouTube channel called Corey Pine Studios," and then they were like, "Oh, like how many followers do you have?" I was like, "Oh, like 54,000." He was like. And I was like, it's not that big though. Like, I just like up the little parodies. It's like, "Give me a second, I'm following you right now," and he's making a big deal out of it. And I was kind of just calm about the whole situation, because I don't know, I'm just used to it. I don't know. Yeah, it's not one of those things where it's like I put it into my head or something like that. I don't think about numbers. I'm just like, I just do videos in my spare time.
Yeah, I've even gotten that with like a much smaller subscriber count. People are like, "Oh my god, you have a couple thousand subscribers," and I'm just thinking like, that's not a lot. Like, on YouTube, it's nothing.
That's true, yeah. No, it's just a thing. I remember a while back, I was at, I think a few years ago, I was at a wedding, okay? And during the wedding, I remember, like, I didn't know a single person there, because it was, like I didn't know my girlfriend there. But besides that, though, I didn't know anyone else. And people walking and be like, "You're the guy who makes, like, Lego videos, don't you?" And everything like that. And there was a conversation with random people, just, like, asking me about Lego. And I was just like, "How do you know me?" It's a nice conversation starter, I'll say.
So how did you start off making Brickfilms?
I started off, I remember, it wasn't Stop Motion Studio, but like Lego made an app called Lego Movie Maker app, like for the iPads. I started off with that, but beforehand I literally just recorded and just like, "Oh, how you doing?" and stuff like that. Like I would just like literally just like you in my hands, and then I figured out how to do stop motion. And then I just kept doing that. And then I didn't realize, but I think a few months after doing it, I was like, there's a record button right here. So I was able to do like, instead of silent films, I was able to do like audio and everything like this. And then I figured out what Stop Motion Studio is, then Pro Stop Motion Studio. Then I was getting better at iMovie. And now, starting this year, I now have Dragon Frame. And I'm using the webcam I'm using right here for this interview for my animations, and it is super handy, to be honest. I'm pretty happy with my setup. I might try and do a different editing program in the future, but I'm happy with like iMovie right now, because like I have no problems with it.
Yeah, the C920 is still a good option to use. Like I see so many people now starting with phones, and like the phone is on the base plate and the camera is up at the top of the phone, so we've returned to Brickfilms always being shot top down, like from a high angle.
No, that's true. Whenever it is the phone I did a bunch of animations on. What I would do is I had like, do you remember with the Lego movie films for like an Ninjago movie, they did like a little like a movie maker set for it. That's what I used to animate for years, just that little stand. And then I made my own like custom Lego ones with blue tack, stuff like that, and it was just much more handier. But no, with the webcam, I think if you're just like going into like Dragon Frame or just trying to experiment more with filmmaking, I recommend it more. Just because like it's more like easier to use when you're trying to get out of the phone, see what it's like. Because I have no problems with it so far.
Yeah.
I find as well what I really like about the C920 is that the bottom of of it where you connect the tripod is like perfectly fit for like a stud. So you can kind of stick it in that quite well, yeah.
No, I actually never did that. I never tried putting a stud in there.
Yeah.
You try it next time.
I was always like really risky with things. Like I wouldn't stick the camera down at all. I'd just put it on the base plate and just hope that it wouldn't bump.
I think that's something that I had to. It took me a while to get used to. Was the best setup for how to actually deal with the camera, because for the longest time I made this sort of kind of base for the webcam where I try to fit it in sort of like with like this sort of, I think it was probably like I don't know if it's like a 10x2 like sort of plate, and then some bricks, and then I put another plate on top of it, and then try to kind of tighten the hold of it by having like some other kind of like plates underneath it, so that like sort of between the camera and the top of it, to try and make it stable, but nothing could quite make it stable enough, so I ended up having to tack it, and then I've still got a little bit of like, I've never fully been able to get rid of all the tack from the bottom of the C920, and now whenever I put it on like a tripod, the top of the tripod has got like tack on it, and it's like I wouldn't recommend doing that, but.
So, what were some of the first brick films that you saw by other people?
I'd say, because what was it? As a kid, like my favorite things in the world were like SpongeBob and Lego. So I remember I just searched up Lego SpongeBob, and then I got a bunch. A lot of them were from his username is actually Lego SpongeBob, the one who recreates SpongeBob episodes in Lego Stop Motion. He did a new one on I forget what it's actually called. I just remember it's the Olympic Games episode of SpongeBob. I think it's called the Krusty Games. I watched. I still keep up with his content sometimes because like he's doing more impressive stuff and he mixes claymation in it with a lot. And I remember watched another channel, but then like he unlisted a bunch of his videos and privatized, so I can't really watch him anymore. But then after that, I watched. I hope I don't butcher his name. Michael Hickox. I know that's like. I basically want to start off with, but it's like a really good one to start off with as well, because I loved a bunch of his videos, and I don't know, I just love looking at the animations of him. And then Brother Woodshop, I love their animations; they're so smooth. I somewhat watched Lord of the Rings, but I loved watching like all his parodies of it and all those little skits of it. I thought that was really impressive. And then Flapjack Films, I got into his little specials he did for like Marvel, Star Wars. They were really fun. And then I started getting really into animation, like kept doing more and more during like when I started watching Flapjack Films. And then I remembered I started doing like little film parodies. And then I remember one day I was on holiday, and then I seen like someone pop up my feed named Edbound, and I was like, oh my god. And then like I know he started like got a bunch of new filmmakers now as well, but I'd say like they're really good pioneers. I love all those filmmakers. And another one I love, James Colward. I loved his social cues video. I don't know why. I just want to shout out there. I really like that video. I don't know. I just love that one. But yeah, no, those would be some of my main like what really got me in animation. And I remembered there was like a cover song made of Someone Only We Know. I forget the person who sung it, but I remembered it was in like a stop motion animation with a bear and a rabbit. And he uploaded the behind the scenes of how they made that. And I kept rewatching that video over and over again on see how they did it, like piece by piece. And that just kept making me want to do more animations.
I was really surprised when I discovered how big the like Lego SpongeBob brick film scene was, because I'd like never encountered it at all. And no, I've been keeping track of like longest running Brickfilm series, like series that have gone like 10 years plus and stuff. And at some point I was sent like a whole bunch of these SpongeBob series that have just sort of quietly been going for like 10 years. With like some of them have like 100 installments. And I was like, oh my god, I never knew about the size of the Lego SpongeBob scene.
That's what SpongeBob does to you.
It's just been like, I don't know, zero crossover with Bricks in Motion or any other place that I would have seen. I guess they just keep to their own
I guess you do, yeah. I've seen a bit of like a variety of them, but like they've kind of died down a little bit now. But it's still some I know. Jade White, she still does some SpongeBob animations, and same with the Lego SpongeBob channel. I need to look up like if any of the other ones I used to still watch are still like making, because I know some stopped because like some haven't been active in like 3 or 4 years. But I don't know, like I love still like SpongeBob animations. They kept me going when I was a kid.
How long ago was it that Lego released SpongeBob sets?
I think it was 2008. I think that's when the year was, or it could have been longer. I forgot when the year they released the sets. But
I mean, I think that they must have done another wave of them in like 2012 or something. Because
I remember they did 2 different versions of the Krusty Krab. I remember.
Yeah, I think Garrett Peretti had like a promotional video made for the Lego group in like 2012. So if they hadn't made that, they must have had sets to go along with it. I'm just thinking that the Lego SpongeBob Brickfilms probably dies out the further and further away you get from people owning official SpongeBob Lego, and from there being sort of buzz around that existing.
I was gonna say that because I was kind of curious about that, because yeah, they're quite old sets now, and I think that I'm pretty sure there must have been 2 waves of it, because the I've seen I have a feeling that the like early SpongeBob sets, so like the sort of 2008 kind of wave, like they're actually pretty sought after and quite rare. And I think that I think there was like a newer wave, and it is interesting. Something that I do think about quite a lot is the what kind of Brickfilms are being made is partly due to like the Lego that people have, and it kind of shows like age. Like I think a lot of people that are, I guess, sort of at 20 now, may still have some of those sets because they're sort of from when they were a kid. But as time kind of like progresses, there's probably going to be less and less SpongeBob Brickfilms, at least new people making SpongeBob Brickfilms, because they don't have, that's kind of further away from like, the newer stuff that's being made. And it's similar to like a lot of the I guess another example would be seeing a lot of the sort of classic 90s Lego being used in sort of Brickfilms from like 2010. It's a similar thing of, it kind of shows the age group of the people making the films, as well as, it's always kind of like a decade or so behind, isn't it?
Yeah, a decade behind, yeah.
I remember like what was it, my very first like a video I uploaded on my channel. It's like all privatized now, but I remember I started off with like a little SpongeBob series. And I remember the very first one, I didn't know what Thanksgiving was, because in Ireland we don't celebrate that. So I titled it as like Lego SpongeBob Turkey Day, because that's what I thought Thanksgiving was his day. Like as a kid, just to have turkey. So I just called it like SpongeBob Turkey Day, and then I made a bunch of other ones, and they're all private now. And then I try to experiment with different types of videos. I try to do reaction videos, and not good. I try to do gaming ones, but again, I was a kid, so I just put my camera in front of the TV and then just play like Minecraft hide and seek with someone, but it would never work because like since it was split screen, I immediately knew where he was. So it didn't work out well. Or try to do reactions, but I'm just kind of just sitting there. I didn't trailer ends, and I'm like, that was very good. I like that one. Okay, all right, thanks guys. But they're all like unless they're privatized now. I think I tried to do plushes as well. I tried to be a plush channel for a little bit. For nearly a year, because I used to do like the Mario and Luigi plush videos you used to see as a kid on YouTube. I tried to do that, but I just couldn't get my head around it at the end. I was like, it's good, but I'm just growing out of it. And then I went back into the Lego, then figured out the stop motion app, and then I kept going and going and going then.
So you had some drive to become a bigger channel, I suppose.
Yeah, no, I had a lot of variety anyway when I first started out, like experimenting.
I think we've kind of been thinking about like the direction Lego has been going recently. Like on Bricks in Motion, we've kind of been thinking, everything's IP now. There's no balance between IP Brickfilms and original Brickfilms, and we're sort of like complaining and thinking that's like a problem with YouTube or like with the Brickfilm landscape, but. I'm just thinking about what we were just saying about like the age of SpongeBob Lego and the availability of it. Like, it's probably connected to Lego releasing so many more IP sets nowadays that everything is just ready-made. so much easier to take the pre-built figures and elements and aspects that you already know.
Yeah, I mean, a big part of it, I think, especially from like the age demographic of most of the people who are starting out with brick filming, is, you know, usually the, I guess, sort of 13, 14, which is the age where you know, you start getting out of playing with Lego. So it's sort of you start off really with whatever Lego that you've got, and it just stands to reason that a lot of that's going to be sort of IP based stuff nowadays.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because, like, I feel as though going back, like, I guess 10 years ago, there still were some more original themes by Lego, and it's funny how, like, that's, you know, we don't really see that as much. I mean, I'm sure that the majority, you know, the main reason is because of sales. Like, they know that, I know, Star Wars and like Marvel, DC, like, that's going to be a huge, you know, a much bigger thing. And I guess even when it comes to, like, casual kind of, but the casual market with people buying stuff, like adults, it's probably similar, that you might get someone who's not always buying a lot of Lego but wants, like, the like Daily Bugle set and stuff like that, you know, and it's it kind of combines demographics, isn't it? You know, people that like Marvel, people who like Star Wars, whatever.
Yeah. And I know people might point to Ninjago as a massive original Lego theme, but to me, that's an IP. Because it has such a big TV show. Like, it doesn't feel like any other Lego theme. It doesn't feel like, you know, Power Miners or something. Like, it's crossed the threshold into being legitimate IP.
Yeah. No, I missed the era when, like, Bionicle was, like, the biggest thing as a kid. But, like, you rarely see that get brought up anymore as well. I don't know, I just miss Bionicle.
Mm-hmm. Well, Bionicle gets brought up a lot, but now by older people.
Yeah. There's always a few people, and no matter what Lego posts on, like, Instagram, someone will say, "But why not Bionicle? Where's the Bionicle?"
Yeah, I know. The, like, people who are obsessed with Bionicle, they're a bit off-putting.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like similar. It feels similar to the where's the Lego 501st set, you know, crowd.
It does feel similar, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, maybe this is a bit too much, like, oh, doom and gloom, but we were sort of questioning recently, like, would the average newcomer even be able to construct a, like, generic minifigure? Do they only own IP parts?
That's a good one. Oh.
I feel like, at least when I was, you know, starting out, a lot of what I was, a lot of my minifigures were based around sort of the make your own minifigure, like, sort of things in, like, Lego store, but then also the minifigure series, and they're still kind of bringing out, like, original stuff. So I feel like a lot of, I'm sure that a lot of people that are fans of Lego, at least anyway, that are doing, you know, making enough to be making brick films, I feel like a lot of them will probably have either the minifigure series or the I don't know, actually, is the minifigure series still, like, a big thing? Because I remember, like, you know, sort of from, like, 2010 to, like, I don't know, like 2018, it was, like, a huge thing. But that was when I was really aware of what was popular. I guess I'm not really as tuned in on, like, what's big in Lego these days. So.
I'd say it's, like, somewhat popular. Like, I feel like its peak was a good few years back, like when Mr. Goal and stuff like that was first announced. I feel like that was, like, when it was at its, like, finest. But, like, now recently, like, I know, like, the up the prices a year or two back. I forgot when, but I remember the up the prices, which, like, less people's interest, and they changed the blind bags to, like, the boxes. So that kind of grew more people's attention away. But I really like the new figures though compared to the last ones. I actually have some right here. I have, like, some new, like, the sci-fi theme. And I have...
those look great.
This is not pre-planned. I just have it all on my desk. I have, like, the Dungeons and Dragons one as well. And again,
nice.
I love the designs of them. I think they're really good. It's just, like, the price, like, of increase does draw people out. But, like, I don't mind collecting them, like, whenever I'm in a store or something like that. Just be like, oh, I'll grab one for today. But I like having a little collection of them. I have them up there on top of my PC.
I remember
What
when
did I
they were
look at?
brand new, like the first wave came out, and like the first couple of waves, and they felt so great for brick filming because, like, you know, suddenly there was just this really quick release of all these like sort of generic usable clothes and stuff, and you could buy them without having to buy a full set. Like you could just get a couple minifigures, and then you have a good useful parts. But it's funny to look at like Series 1 and Series 2 now, and they don't even look like collector figures anymore. They just look like totally normal generic figures. Like they don't have leg printing, they don't have anything like really that that would raise the price.
Yeah, that is interesting. I think that at the time you would have. I mean, a lot of the appeal then, I guess maybe early on, was the idea that they were kind of modern, generic minifigures in some ways. They had unique designs, and sometimes they'd be doing things like there'd be a specific, I don't know, that there'd be a minifigure that has a specific job that's kind of different, and that kind of thing. But then I think, yeah, they did start to become a bit more. When I was collecting them, you started getting stuff like the I don't know if it was like series 5 or something, when they had like the detective, you know, like the Sherlock Holmes minifigure and that kind of thing. And I think that's probably around the time that they became more special, I guess.
Yeah. But it's funny because now, like Series 1, a lot of them are like really expensive on Bricklink because they're the older ones. But even though they look less special.
Yeah, it was funny. I don't know if either of you have played Lego City Undercover, but
I wish I did.
It's great. It's really good. And it's funny because that's from like, was that 2013, and a lot of the kind of generic minifigure like NPCs that are like walking around are all the sort of like early series minifigure packs. There's this one level where you kind of crash like a this sort of house party, and it's like a costume party, and all of the minifigures are just minifigures from the Series 1. It's quite funny.
I think the Lego Movie has some of that as well. I mean, I know some of the the Lego Movie figures were then released as a Lego Movie collector line.
Yeah.
But I think there's a bunch of other figures that were like previous lines, like the plumber and the surfer and stuff.
There definitely was like in the Cloud Cuckoo line segment, I know.
Yeah.
Like I had like, what was it? The clown and the dinosaur costume.
Yeah, the
I know
clown.
they were there.
The Clown Series 1, I think.
I think that is Series 1. I'm not sure which series that is. I just know it was like the first three. I'm just not sure which one.
I got
so
the
that does kind of, it roots it in that point in time, I guess. More so than like it having much older Lego in it, like recognizable sets.
I do like that in for the Lego Movie 2 series they had the Wizard of Oz minifigures. I actually got all 4 of those. And I like that it's really obvious based on the timeline of that they must have been part of like a Lego Dimensions pack originally, and then I think Lego Dimensions kind of ended in like 2018 or something.
I think it was 2017.
Yeah, so it was kind of clearly they wanted to make those, then they didn't. So because I think they made the Witch, didn't they? I think
they only made a Witch, and then like in the Lego Batman movie sets, they made like, I forget what it's called, but like her little like minions in that movie.
Yeah, it's really funny how you could tell. Like, yeah, I guess the Batman movie as well is a sort of same sort of time period where everything from then to like Lego Movie 2, there's those bunch of releases where it's like, yeah, we didn't make it for Dimensions, but we've got it anyway, and they make a small cameo, therefore they have to be in the series. You know.
Yeah, I would like to get all the Wizard of Oz figures and just have them on display. Those are nice.
That'd be cool, yeah.
I've actually, we've got them all there, but I actually got them in probably wasn't the cheapest way of getting them. I'm not sure. I mean, it would be cheaper than getting them now. I got them in a Comic-Con in 2019, and I think I paid £20 for like the 4, which I think at the time I was thinking like I wouldn't have bought, like I wouldn't have gone out of my way to try and collect them in a traditional way. And I was like, yeah, you know what? I really like these figures, so I'm just gonna do that.
Yeah.
But on the topic of like IP figures and stuff, I was quite happy to see some of your recent releases being Who Killed Cinema and the Continue the Story part, being original. So I kind of wonder, like, what you would have to say about, like, how it... Do you enjoy making original stuff, like, in a sort of different way than making IP stuff?
I think it's just like a like personal thing. I do love making parodies because again, like some of my favorite videos, like the Willy Wonka parody I made, that's one of my top favorites on the channel. But I also made ones like I made a zombie attack series. I made Who Killed Simba. That's still my favorite project ever made so far. I do like making IP stuff, but original stuff as well. I know it feels more closer to home because again, it's like your own characters, you're telling your own story with it. And IP and like parody, it is fun to make. I would not make parody videos if I did not enjoy what I was making. But with like original content stuff like that, I probably might like that just more. It's just like for like I guess for my channel, I gotta do like a little balance of like original video, parody, original video, parody, original video, parody.
Yeah.
But no, I seen Acoustic Kill Cinema, like I think it did like pretty well on YouTube and stuff like that. And I would love I would kill to make more like original content and everything on my channel. Like I want to bring more variety out there because I know before I released those 2 videos this year, I checked back. What was my last original video I made? And it was like 2 years ago, which I don't know, shocked me because it made me realize like I need to like manage it better. But no, I definitely want to make more original content on my channel, but also like do like a parody once in a while because I do like doing those. And I have like ideas I want to do, but yeah, it's just like doing a nice balance of it for now.
Yeah, I like the idea of balance. Because, of course, you know, especially with the way YouTube went over many years, like, we have seen people now sort of come along and they're sort of like, oh, you know, I'll never even consider making an original Brick film because I know that it doesn't do well on YouTube. And that's just kind of depressing.
Yeah.
It'd be nice if people at least balanced it.
Well, I think it's also, like, important that... regardless of whether or not you're doing sort of IP-based brick films or if you're doing like more like, you know, original sort of stories, I think it's important to have your own personality and identity in those films because that's what stops it from just being like a random sort of thing of like random assortment of like here's an IP brick film and here's like a non-IP brick film. It's like in the end of the day, what matters is that it's I guess a Corey Pines brick film, and the fact that you can kind of make something feel that something that's authentically yours either way, it means that like people are able to watch that. Hopefully people can see that and realize that like if you put your own spin on things, you can make original stuff too, you know, like I think Edbound really shows that as well.
Edbound's probably number one example
because it's really interesting how I think he's amassed such a kind of an audience, like a base that like I think like pretty much any of his videos will do well nowadays, regardless of whether or not it's interesting how, and I don't want to get too kind of I guess content brained in terms of this search, but when you look at the kind of stats of comparing his sort of IP based brick films to some of his other videos, there isn't much in it. Like they do pretty much the same, and it's because people just enjoy his stuff in general, and he has like very much his own spin on things and sort of, you know, identity.
It's remarkable how loyal of a following he's managed to grow, and sometimes his original stuff can do better than IP stuff around it. But I did want to ask about the continue the story part, because it's really cool to see, like, you know, sort of the like trippy part, and like how was that done?
The trippy part?
Yeah, the clay part.
Oh, sorry, the clay part. Unfortunately, like that wasn't my part to do. I got it from, there was a music video I saw. I can't think of the title of it right now, but because what was it? I kind of just like green screen a bit of it. I think I used the same like effect from that from a Doctor Strange video I did. And I had him behind a green screen to try and like add more to the trippiness. I'm trying to think. I'm not sure if it did it for the continuing story part because I remembered like what was it? I was on a bit of a time crunch for that because I had like, exams coming up, so I wasn't sure if that made it into the final cut. But no, I'm not sure if it did now. But no, I liked it in the continuing story event. I thought that was fun. I remember you did it last year as well, and No, I think it's fun to do. I liked it a lot. I think it's just a nice mix of themes.
Yeah,
A bit of variety
well,
of
to
everyone
continue the
doing it.
story, the 2024 parts of Continue the Story are like remarkable. It's a
Yeah.
really it was unusual to see people go so crazy with them, make them really long films.
I know there was one. I remember it was like over 10 minutes long as well. And I remember like for like the first year, it was. I remember like the very first one was like 30 seconds and like just a few minutes. But now it's breaking double digits when it comes to like the runtime. And I think it's just really
Yeah.
cool.
Yes, yeah. The first one, everyone did like a minute and a bit. Or there was a couple that were longer, and that's just kind of that's what it felt like we were supposed to do, I guess. But yeah, it's amazing to see people push it, especially because another thing we've kind of been concerned about recently is like how it feels like most Frick films that get released now are just like 20-second test animations, like 10 seconds, 20
Yeah.
seconds with no set. Like they're not films, they're just sort of releases. Like, gotta keep the YouTube channel alive. Just release, 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 release. So it's nice to see like, oh, well, there's something growing over here that's it's actually like pushing for longer films, more
Yeah.
structure. But I'm sure it feels like there's more of the short stuff because it's so much easier for people to just constantly pump them out. But it's just I just really it bothers me when I see people's channels that's only 10-second tests and just like there's like 100 of them. Like they never want to make a more substantial film, like something that's less throwaway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to actually say it kind of brings up something that I was kind of curious about. How long average would you say it takes to make? And this sounds like a really sort of generic thing that people always ask.
No, no, it's
but
alright.
how long does it take? Like, roughly, do you think to take? I mean, I guess I'm mostly interested in terms of the Who Kills Cinema one because it's
Yeah.
relatively quite long, like 14 minutes long. So I'm kind of curious like how long that took you to make.
That took 1 month. I
Oh.
think it took 3 weeks to do all the animation because I remembered I think I was waiting on like something for like the set, but then I got it. But I remembered like I spent like literally like the beginning of the new year till I think the end of the month because I was submitting it to this film festival, the Fresh Film Festival, and I remember I was like trying to get it done for that. I think I cut it 2 parts out of the script because it was like a maximum runtime was like 15 minutes, and I was like a few seconds over, and so I was like, okay, I gotta do this and that, and then I was trying to get it done, and then I was like on the last few days, I was like, I don't have it edited yet, and then they're like, okay, we're gonna delay it for an extra week so you guys have time, and I was like, thank you, and
That's
it
like
took, I think,
remarkably fast, though.
I
get
wish
all
it was
that
just
done.
because like I will say I did not do that much schoolwork during that. It was just they just like when I go home, I was just immediately doing that. When I'm home from work, I was immediately just doing that, and I think I did a few layers. I had like one of those like matches that like was I just brought like a portable bed into here because I have a masterpiece here. I brought like a portable bed into here, and literally I would just like whenever I would immediately just fall asleep. Like when I had to, I just go to sleep and wake up and it's like, okay, so where did I leave off? And again, this is my very first time using Dragon Frame for Hookle Cinema. I never used it beforehand or did any tests with it. I kind of just rolled with it as I went on. Like, okay, so
Nice.
this is how that works. This is how that works. And I was like, wait, let me see if we can try and do this camera movement with it. And it just kind of just kept trying to do what I can. And no, it was a crazy video. I remembered, I can't see it on frame. Someone made like a little fan art for it from the thing. But no, sure, I loved it. I remembered I had the video done 6 hours before the deadline, and I was also when I was at the editing phase, I had my mock exams for school. So when I was back home, when I was supposed to study for exams, I was editing Who Killed Cinema, and then I eventually got it done in time, like again a few hours. But I was like, I loved that video so much, and then when I submitted to the film festival, I got nominated for best screenplay. And like during the festival, I had like little on my suit, I had a little like Lego pin here to do a little little represent. And then I was heartbroken because at the film festival when they like played it on screen, like for some reason the way I exported it onto like the film thing, it was in like like 60 quality or something like this. It was like very lower because I had it like in like 1080, and I was like, no, because like I was excited because it's like, oh my god, I can see my film on a little cinema screen right now. But it's just like it was not supposed to be like that. I had it such more better quality, but it's just like you can see like the pixels. I was like so close. And then I remember like when they were displaying the other films for festivals, like the person was like nudging me like, "Did you make the Lego video for that part?" And I was like, "Yeah." And then I remember like I had people walk up after me and be like, "Oh, the Lego movie, that was robbed and stuff like this. I was like, thank you. And then during my I'm graduating now, but during my graduation, my friend during his graduation speech shouted me out during it because he was like, I also want to shout Corey because he also made this film, Hookah Cinema. He did not win, but we all know it like it should have won. Like we know that was rigged. And then I remembered I submitted to a bunch of film festivals. I think I submitted to 20. I didn't know I did to a lot. And I remember when I was on holiday, again, I just kept getting like rejection. And then I remember like I was like looking it up and I was like, okay, let me see what I got now. And it was just like it has won Best Animated at the Queen City Film Festival, and that just made me like jump up and down for the holiday. Cause like this is like just like when I got off the airplane, it's like this is a brilliant start. But even if it didn't win anything, it's still my most proudest thing I've ever made, and it's not about the awards or anything like that. It's just like filmmaking in general. I just love making movies and everything like that, and I already have plans of making another short film. I'm not sure where I'm going to film it yet, but I'd love to make another short film. I have a little list written down, and then another animated series I'd love to do eventually when I have like the time to do it on.
That's great to have the festival as something to like push you to make the film and to sort of gear it towards a festival audience or panel.
And it's also great to know that like you can actually submit a brick film film festivals with some with success like that, because that's definitely something that I've been sort of thinking about in the past. Is I really like the idea of making something for like a film festival, especially because when it comes to like I do always try. Lately I've been thinking a lot about brick films outside of just YouTube, like what's having it sort of for like an audience outside of that, because sometimes you might make a film that doesn't really get much of an audience on YouTube, but then that doesn't necessarily mean it can't be successful somewhere. And I think the idea of like having it play in a cinema, like that's a huge thing, and whatever 500 people like on YouTube is, it's like if it's like a couple hundred people in a cinema, that's like way bigger, right? Like
you actually like see the people watching and get their reactions, and like when I was playing the film, I remember like when I was doing the jokes, I heard like they did like the audience laughter and stuff like that, and I was getting on my seat just being like, they're laughing at the parts they're supposed to laugh to. That's a really good thing for me. I was just like, but no, I loved it. I know it was a really cool thing, but I think the film was up to like a 19s for the festival. So I remember like a person came over to interview me afterwards, and then they were just like, "Oh, you're gonna submit next year?" And I was like, "No, this is my final year. I'm sorry to tell you." Like, no.
And so were the other festivals you're submitting to, were they free to submit to, or did you have to pay to just submit?
It was a bit of both. Some were free, and then some I had to pay for. But like the biggest I went, I think, was just like €10, because like.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't want to spend that much because I don't want to just like spend 20 euros to like an online film festival just to get a little email just being like, you got it or you didn't get it. I just didn't think that was just worth it. I'd rather go to like an actual one, because that was like one of the only Irish ones I could find that was like currently at the moment, and I love that. I can't wait to do that again soon.
Yeah, I'm just kind of wondering what the barrier of entry would be for other brick filmers who might be thinking about film festivals. So if there are a few free options or a few that's just €10 or something, it's not too bad.
Exactly, yeah.
Because I mean, I have heard sort of horror stories of people submitting short films to festivals, spending like $250 or something just to be told, nah, you're not in.
No, I would never spend like triple digits, and I'm going crazy. I would never do that for like a film festival. I don't know.
Well, maybe not. Yeah, that might be a extreme amount. I don't know.
It really isn't, because I've seen having submitted. I didn't directly submit. We did like a live action film which won some awards, which I edited. It actually won. I like to say it won an award at Cannes. It was the Cannes Film Awards, so it wasn't like the Cannes Film Festival. I didn't get a Palme d'Or, but it was great that we managed to get for a film which was, I think it was best student short film. And we won quite a few awards, and we won maybe 4 in sort of comedy and I think sort of short drama kind of categories. But yeah, it did end up, if you try and submit like to get to the point where you're like successful at like more than one festival, you are kind of there were a lot of rejections. There were a lot of like getting to so sort of part of the process where you get past the you get accepted and you get sort of to the stage of like one stage past that elimination, and then you get eliminated towards the end, or like just you don't get nominated for something but you are still shown, that kind of thing. So it did add up. I mean, there were some that we were looking at which absolutely, if you wanted to submit also like an earlier date, then like the early bird, I think it was, is like
deadline, yeah.
It can be like, it's 75 euros, but then added onto this extra package where this and this, and it's actually 125, and yeah, that's kind of like but then some are literally free, some are like but you really have to kind of look at that and also see like what's worth your time really, and money.
Exactly, yeah.
I've always kind of figured that like major festivals probably don't really want to see Lego animations. They probably think, well, we're not really supposed to have like stuff based on Lego, so I would be quite wary about actually spending money to try and submit. Obviously, if it's free, then that's a different story.
Sometimes for the festivals, it was like paying one. Sometimes I try and see if there's like a able way to DM or email them. It's like, hey, do you allow like Lego animations in your festival, stuff like that, before like I give you money? And most of the time, like majority of the time, we're like, yeah, no, we're okay with that. Like, yeah, like we'd be happy to see it. I'm like, okay, let me submit it to you. And it's like, okay, you got rejected. It's okay. But
yeah.
No, I think it's good.
Hi everybody. Just I wanted to quickly address that I've changed. My camera's just completely changed. I've just switched to webcams because I think this one's better. Do forgive me. We are kind of still early on when it comes to actually having cameras. I just this is my C920, so this is what I actually use for brick filming, which is quite funny. But I think this actually looks way better. Like it was lagging a little bit with the old one, so yeah. But if you're listening to this, then you don't notice any change at all. So yeah.
And I have a cat now.
Oh,
yeah, everything's changed.
Yeah.
Except for you, Corey. Nothing's changed for you. Like
I could. Now I'm on this side. Very, really good difference now. I can see like this exposed area, not this exposed area anymore.
Now we can see all the Lego sets.
Nice.
Oh shoot, yeah. A little modular area with a little desk right beside it. Then over there, jazz club and stuff. And then trying to see what you can see on like my monitor, like my little camera here. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Oh yeah. Sorry, I'm just doing a little bit of a room tour right now. I'll describe it for the listeners. Yeah. Over there is like a bunch of like stills from movies that I stole off Pinterest. I printed out, and then you can't turn over here. I'm not bothered to turn the whole setup over, but it's describing. I have a little sign that says Corman Studios, Lego display where the animations over there. I actually have. Here, I'm not gonna take it off now. Give me 1 sec. I have someone gifted me this. It's a poster of Wish, but someone gave it to me because it's Chris Pine, because Corey Pine. So I got that as a little Christmas present, so...
Another one of your relatives.
Yeah, it's another one of my relatives, Chris Pines. Oh my god. Don't get me started on that guy. But, that's a little cheeky room tour, and I obviously have my obligatory Daily Bugle, because every brick filmer has to have a Daily Bugle set. And then, yeah, that's it.
So would you say that there's much like noticeable influence from real like live action films in your brick films?
I'd say again, like when I was a kid, like not a kid, like teenager, like I was like getting a lot of Edgar Wright because I loved Baby Driver, Scott Pilgrim, The World's End. I won't say that one talked about that much, but all brilliant films. And then a few years back, I've still really got into Wes Anderson movies. I love like how they're shot, directed, written, edited, like all that jazz. And like sometimes I have like little Wes Anderson jokes in my videos or like little references. Like this one bit like where I have like the little like movie theater and the poster. I have like Asteroid City there, which like 2% of my audience would understand like or have even heard of Asteroid City or even watched it. but sometimes some like the shots or something like that was inspired. I remembered there like in my I made a zombie video, and I remember I made one specific long take shot very similar to how he did it in the film World Tenenbaums, because he did one with a vehicle going back, then going back with a different character, so go back there one more time, then following, then going there, and I did that exact same thing, and I was like, if someone even understands the shot thing from the World Tenenbaums, I would be so proud of them. But no, he's the main influence in my work right now. I love a lot of films, but I started really getting to this year. I started watching a bunch of Joel Haver's films. If you've ever heard of him, he's like, you know, he makes a lot of movies and he uploads them on YouTube. I love his comedy a lot, so I'm not sure if that's like going to my films more now, but I like having a bit more like if someone like sends me lines of that when they do like a little bit of improvised takes, I would try and like find my way see if I can have the improvised take more than the take I asked him to do, because I just think it's just more funny. I like more natural.
Yeah.
I remember for a Star Wars video, someone was like the Darth Vader voice actor, Jaden Moon. He was doing like a villain laugh, and then like he started coughing his lungs out during the take, and then I was like, okay, I'm going to go back and like animate a scene again, but make it as like just him coughing for 20 seconds, and then going back to what he was saying. And I was freaking dying because I was like, I'm so happy I kept that now. Because I like voice acting when it's more natural instead of just forced. If you get what I mean.
I like the idea of taking influence from Wes Anderson, but not in a sort of like oh look, it looks like a Wes Anderson film, like Wes Anderson AI, like not that kind of influence. I hated
those videos, the AI ones.
I hate those. But I mean, in the manner in which figures like move across the frame, or like, you know, really far in the background or really up close and stuff. Like, I think that would all translate really well into Lego. Just sort of having people move around in a funny way rather than just pointing the camera at them and they speak.
I think there's definitely there's two ways you can do it. I think because there's ways of being like trying to be obvious, like sort of stereotypically like, oh, this looks like Wes Anderson in a kind of parody way, or there is that kind of thing, a homage, where it's like you're clearly a fan of Wes Anderson, and it's like because there's more to it than. I mean, in some ways, I kind of feel like if you amass a cast of like a lot of like, well-known like brick filming names, that's almost like a Wes Anderson thing, but in a brick film form, because it's like the way that Wes Anderson always has like these huge casts, and he'll get like an A-list actor to have like 2 lines in a film, and that's it. Like
Yeah, and I remember that was like Bryan Cranston in Asteroid City, because I remember like he was a narrator, but he was there for like 2 minutes. Because I love Wes Anderson. I'm sorry, I just had to go back to that topic. But I love that guy.
And of course, Wes Anderson has stop motion films that obviously Brickfilms could take a lot of influence from.
Shockingly, as a kid, I was terrified of Fantastic Mr. Fox. Not because of like the animal characters, but like the human characters. Because when I saw Bogus Bunsen Bean, when I saw his characters, I remember as a kid, I thought they looked terrifying. That was me with a lot of stop motion as a kid. I was scared of Coraline as a kid. I was scared of a lot of those.
That makes sense.
And then like a good few years later, I watched them again. I was like, this is what I was terrified of. Because I was like, this is like one of the most funnest things I've seen in like ages. Because a lot of like stop motion stuff I did not want to watch back then became some of my favorite things I ever watched. Because Wes Anderson, not surprisingly, is up there on my list. Same with Wallace and Gromit. I remembered I loved Curse of the Were Rabbit, but anytime it was like the Were Rabbit, I would kind of skip that part in like my little DVD, and I go with the hey, it's a little British Wallace. But no, I love that. Yeah.
It's funny because I do think that there are a lot of people that generally find stop motion in general scary.
Yeah, just the way it moves.
Yeah, because it is kind of. I mean, you kind of see it less when it comes to brick filming because it's such a. I mean, it's Lego, but also because it's such a cartoony art style and everything. But when it comes to something which is more, kind of sort of making specific models, like I think especially like Wes Anderson, where it has an almost like taxidermy look to it. Where it's kind of uncanny. So it kind of is. It feels sort of reminiscent almost of those like early, kind of experimental stop motion films that were made. Kind of like
Cameraman's Revenge.
Yeah, where it's like they actually are like taxidermied animals and stuff. It's a bit kind of like weird and like uncanny. Also, that Alice in
I
Wonderland
imagine
film was similar as well.
he probably was like influenced by those, and I never really thought of it like comparing it to taxidermy before, but that's actually a good way of putting it, because like I do think that the animal, like the foxes in Fantastic Mr. Fox, they do look a bit uncanny and like a bit like creepy because of the taxidermy feel.
I think it is probably helped that in a positive way that he's voiced by George Clooney, who's got kind of a a comforting voice, where it's like he's got charm, so it's sort of it takes away a little bit from that, but yeah.
Yeah, but I imagine he was well aware of that, sort of leaning into it a bit.
Yeah, it's definitely noticeable,
and it makes it look. It doesn't look like super kiddie either, I guess.
No, it doesn't really. It's just like, I guess like in the middle, if you get me. Like one of those kind of films, like again, every person could watch,
Yeah,
and like
exactly.
everyone's get something out of it, which is my favorite type of movies.
I definitely think he does lean into the sort of realness of stop motion in ways that I think some sites like Leica don't. Leica used to, like a classic Leica, but I mean the sort of more recent Leica films where it feels like it's a CG film. Like if you didn't know stop motion well, you'd think it was like actually a CG animated film. But like with Wes Anderson's Fantastic Mr. Fox and also Isle of Dogs, they're very clearly stop motion, and it's really part of the heart and soul of it. I remember like when I saw the trailer for Isle of Dogs when it was coming out, I was already like really excited because they showed the fight scene and it was kind of cotton, when they're fighting, and it's
cloud
like
and everything.
Yeah, and it's like
limbs flying around.
I wanna. It's like that's stuff that I do. I want to see this.
Yeah. But I feel like some of the setups, like with a shot where it's like part of the humor is that it's like tracking really far along, like just sideways. It's not a camera swooping all over and going everywhere and following figures. Like it's just a big sideways shot, or like the scene in Isle of Dogs when the guy is trashing the room, and it just stays in the one shot, and he's like going all over the room, like really far back and really up close, and like it's funnier because it's just one lockdown shot, and so that's really approachable for brick filming, I think. If you can make it so it's a really specific shot, but it doesn't have to be a super dramatic camera movements. There's really difficult in brick filming. You could add humor that way. If you can sell it as like intentional, like it's supposed to be funnier by being like this.
I noticed that in your in Who Kills Cinema, the winning film is that a reference to Asteroid City as well? I forgot the actual title of the film.
It actually wasn't, to be honest. What was it? That was from an old video I was going to make. Back in 2020, I bought like what was it? The detective like modular set. So that came like detective stuff, and I was like, I would love to make a detective video. So then I was just thinking of just like words in my head, because I know like I forgot how I got the idea for Radio City. I think it was just because like radios back then and then City, so I was like Radio City, or there was something else. Like again, it was 4 years ago, so I can't think of the first thing in my head right now. But I remember I animated like the first scene of it, and I did in 4:3 black and white, trying to make it like that. But I remembered, I forgot what happened during 2020, like because of COVID and stuff like that. I had like assignments and stuff like this. I remembered I had to go to the next project, and I was like, I don't know how this is going to like. I didn't know the ending of it yet. I just knew like what I was going to do for the first meal. I just didn't think of how it was going to like go down. So then when I was doing Who Kills Cinema, a bunch of the titles of films, some are just like again parody titles like Call Me by Your Middle Name, or just like The Dogs of Kilkenny, just like parody ones like that. But I remember for Radio City, I was like, oh yeah, I could just reference some of my like old, like I thought it would be like a nice little reference to like one of my old films that like again never talked about. I think I posted on my Instagram stories once, but like for me, like I was like, okay, I like this little detail I'm adding here. This will be something like I can smile at.
It was funny because were you at all when you were planning to make that film? Were you familiar with the Detective Ace Brickman series that Locker 74 Productions did.
Really, I have not seen no, I haven't seen that. No, the Ace ones. No, I had the idea. I think I'm gonna say like 3 years ago or something like that. I just remembered like again like I just started like watching a bunch of murder mysteries, and I was kind of just in a group like I want to make one now, but I kept trying to think of like what idea should I do, and then I remembered I was like okay maybe I could do one of like a wedding after party, then have one of like either the bride or the groom die, and then there's this Apple TV show called The After Party, and then in season 2. It's a murder mystery, but it's at a wedding after party where like the groom dies. I was like, so that was the exact idea I was gonna do. So I was trying to like think of different ideas of like, okay, so where is there like not been really a murder mystery before? And I was saying like the Oscars, that'd be like an interesting one. And since for the film festival, I was like, okay, maybe like since film festival, maybe I should not risk doing like seeing any IP. So I just said like an award ceremony and stuff like that. And I remember like I just had like ideas written down, and then I remembered one night, I think it was like 3 o'clock in the morning, I couldn't go back to sleep, and I had like my little sketchbook, and I was like, okay, let me do a little like outline to see how this goes, like little ideas, and then I eventually like, ended up like just storyboarding, I think like just like 90% of the film, and then like I literally was like, well, I was, do you ever get that like when you're just like writing it, and then like you get like immediately understand the twist, like, oh, this is how the twist is going to happen. And then you go back to, okay, so this is why this happens, this is why that happens. I was having one of those moments just late at night. And then, like, when it was just morning, then I had, like, the outline of it finished. Then I spent 2 weeks then just, like, getting the script really like, done really well, then casting. But that's how that came to be. I really like Hookah Cinema. I love to do, I don't know. I wouldn't mind doing more installments, kind of like a Knives Out type of way, where it's, like, same detective but different cases, but like they're not like you don't need to like look back at the other ones to understand. It's like you watch them in different orders. It's kind of the same. I wouldn't mind doing something like that. It just because again I like the characters and I won't mind going back again for the detective character if I'm able to in the future.
Yeah, it sounds like a good idea.
I do like that what you're saying when it comes to the creative process side of things, where when you come up with an idea that you like, I think it kind of gets quite hard to even kind of think back to like how you kind of structured it, or how you the stages of coming up with an idea, because I think as soon as you have something that you like, it kind of all seems to kind of just like fit naturally, like at least that's kind of how I feel like in terms of like you come up with even just like location, like the setting, like okay, so there's gonna be a murder mystery in at the kind of like awards show, and then it kind of almost writes itself in a way, like you kind of just you suddenly have this idea in your head of like what that's going to be like, because you like the idea kind of thing. And I'm sure a big part of that was like coming up with the parody films as well, like the that kind of another element of it that's sort of once you got the idea there, it's like, oh yeah, I could do that it all comes naturally, doesn't it?
Yeah, because I was kind of just thinking, just like, okay, because again, like I started watching the Oscars every year. I was just like, yeah, okay, so nearly every single year they always do like a little war. I could do like a war movie now. So I remember I had like you played the war person. I remember that Penta.
Yeah.
I wish I knew his name now. I forget his name. But I remember I had more scenes with you. I was a Google Cinema exclusive here, I guess. I remember I had a deleted scene where it's gonna like flashback to your perspective. And since I was gonna have it like in a 1917 type of like thing, where I was gonna try and do it like make it look like a very long, continuous long take, and it was just like you like adding more clues, and then it would just like burst into like a random war scene all of a sudden because like PTSD. I was gonna have that, but again, runtime I couldn't. But I hope I could recycle that idea soon. But yeah, some were just like so like again, I wanted a reason, like an excuse to use like my Kaipa minifigures, so it was like. Yeah, the Oscars started doing more of like trying to sprinkle a little bit more superhero stuff, like Black Panther and that type of thing, and how the Oscars always usually give the best visual effects to superhero movies. So I had jokes like that, and then I remember I think I had more, but I didn't want to like just overcrowd too many suspects. I tried to like limit it as like best as I can. But again, I'm still happy with the final product. I still think it's a good film. I'm proud of it.
It's kind of made me think back to there's been a few films that I've made over the years where I've really liked the concept of, and I've been toying around the idea of like, should I make this a sequel? Should I make like a series out of this thing? Because like, there's like, I think I did that a few years ago. I did for Brawl. I did a film called Loop TV, which was
I remember that.
Oh yeah, and it's kind of it. I think Who Kid Cinema in a way kind of reminded me of that in that like it's kind of parodying different genres, and honestly that reminds me like the TV version of that. I definitely had a plan to continue him kind of traveling through different like worlds of like different kind of TV show kind of like tropes and stuff. But then One Division came out in 2022, and it was like it felt too much like it was going to be like that, especially the fact that he was stuck in a sitcom, which is like, I'm kind of glad I made that when I did, because it was like it was before that.
Yeah.
But I still
Marvel did.
Yeah, I still feel like there's something there that I could, especially if I could parody other genres that aren't like sitcoms, like this idea of him escaping into like maybe doing a like one of those many kind of detective show, but like the sort of kind of contemporary detective sort of series, like what do they call, like NCIS, or like those kind of things, or even like House MD or something. Like there are ways you could still do something with that. So yeah, who knows?
Who knows? Yeah, that'd be interesting to do. I think it'd be cool if you did like an idea where it's like he goes into like the Twilight Zone or something like that, kind of like a homage to that type of thing.
Yeah. Well, even the kind of concept itself, I mean, it could kind of be a Twilight Zone thing anyway, kind of like the. I mean, I think I was actually kind of sort of inspired by Twilight Zone in a way. That was like one of the influences was this kind of idea of like, what if you were trapped in this kind of ever-ending loop? Like it's kind of there is a kind of sinister element to that, Yeah. Especially if it's like a half an hour like cancelled TV show that's like like a living hell.
Well, that'd be bad then, wouldn't
it? But yeah, actually, how are we doing on time?
I was just checking myself.
Yeah.
Do you think it's time for the Brickfilm Showcase?
Ooh, alright.
Yeah, I'd be happy to start off. Yeah, so for anyone who's new to the podcast, the showcase is an opportunity for each of us to talk about brick films that either mean a lot to us or that we want to talk about in general. Yeah, so my pick was Zoom and Enhance by I believe it's Pi Productions, and it's a German language brick film that's I believe it's from last year, and it literally got less than 200 views, which is kind of crazy. But I found this really I really enjoyed this one. It's got these like minifigures. I couldn't work out. I'm not sure if I'm really that familiar with the kind of minifigures that they are. They are actually Lego, aren't they? I believe.
I have no idea what these are, to be honest.
Yeah.
When you sent me it, I was like, I knew the bodies were Lego. I just didn't know what the head was from.
Yeah, it looks like I was thinking maybe it's Duplo, but then the kind of bodies aren't Duplo, so it's
It could be like a different type of toy brand that's not. Like,
I've never seen these before, and I think they're not Lego.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. But yeah, I kind of interesting, kind of like I really like the kind of concept of kind of zooming in and enhancing, and it kind of basically it kind of goes from the reflection of someone's sunglasses into a car, and then that car's reflection at being like a planet, and then going into a planet, from then going zooming back into Earth, and then scanning into a location of a crime scene, it was just a really funny kind of concept, and it's I think it kind of got nominated for some for the Brickfilms Guild Awards, for kind of a couple of categories. That's kind of how I discovered it originally.
Yeah. Same
and
here.
It just struck me as being really really good, and something which kind of deserves some kind of a little bit of recognition, because it's
Yeah, I think that I only discovered this because it was on the BFG Awards playlist, and yeah, like it's remarkable how underground it is, and I guess I just wish that like films like this, like that are more sort of complete, like multiple minutes long brick films. I wish they all got shared to the discords or even to the Bricks in Motion site as well. It might be kind of dead, but at least if you submit a film there, it automatically gets posted on the Discord and we see it.
And
yeah.
nowadays, like there's obviously the potential for it to be nominated or be part of the Beamers Awards nowadays.
Bricks in Motion Awards.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just sometimes it feels like there's a lot of people who know how to play the self-promotion game, but then you see these sorts of films come along that like have had so much work put into them and so much time spent into them, but sometimes they're made by people who just aren't they aren't trying to get them seen much. They aren't like pushing them really. So sometimes some of the best stuff slips under the radar. And it feels like a shame. So yeah, it is nice to at least have a chance to showcase films like this here. And it is really cool to see. Like, I like the shot with the camera looking at the window. I think it's two shots composited together, but like because of being two different shots, it's like super deep focus in a way that you probably couldn't have gotten if it was just one shot. I mean, I guess you could do a split diopter thing there, but no, it's cool to see it like a very unusual for a brick film type of shot.
Yeah, no, it's definitely like
it's
edited really well.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, good editing. But it's a good use of like combining two different shots digitally to make it a shot that you couldn't really do otherwise.
Yeah, I was really impressed by how like I think this had generally really good production value. I felt
the mouth animations look like fantastic.
They do.
Yeah, they look really great. Yeah, especially for the kind of, I guess like the scale and side of it. It's something to sort of consider, like the with the figures that they are, like the fact that it works really well. It also, if like, I was kind of surprised the first time I'm watching it. Like, well, and then I put it in. So for the recommendation for the podcast, and then I saw it was over 3 minutes long, but it really doesn't feel its length. It really doesn't. It doesn't drag along, but it just feels like way shorter than it is in the best way possible. Yeah, I guess like the kind of the gag, because in a way it is kind of like, if you want to call it that way, it is kind of like one gag kind of film, but it doesn't overstay it with welcome. It really it just kind of works. There's a lot is kind of achieved in that one time,
and of course there's nice attention to detail, the light coming in the window, and also different light from the monitor. Nice stuff to pay attention to.
I also like the kind of like the enhancement effect, where it's clear that they kind of have sort of two photos. I think I guess like two photos and like have the enhanced version, that I enjoyed as well.
No, I did enjoy it.
But there's actually quite a lot of effects to it that seem somewhat kind of complex. Like I think the having those sort of reflections. Having the reflections in the glasses and all that kind of stuff, and making it seem like sort of blend in naturally.
Yeah, no, I really like how see how they run a joke from like 0 to 100, like it's the shades, and then it's like up to the planet, then it like immediately goes back down. It's like, oh this is where it happened right here. I like how like it's not a thing with the question that's like, oh, we got him right there. I like how they just like, I don't know, I like those types of comments where like they accept the wackiness of it, like Naked Gun or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess the language barrier probably doesn't help either. But yeah, it sure would be nice if brick films like this had more visibility.
It's true, yeah. More attention. At least we have this as well again.
Who should go next?
You should, Sean. Yeah.
Okay. I decided for my pick for the showcase to go with Michelangelo and Lincoln History Cops, which was created as promotional for the Lego Movie DVD and Blu-ray, and it's on the DVD and Blu-ray as well. But I don't know if to me it feels like not a lot of people actually know this brick film, and it's stop motion brick film, and it's been on YouTube, for since 2014. But like I've never seen an upload of it on YouTube that has more than a couple tens of thousands of views. Like you'd think for it being an official like Lego Movie promotion thing, it would have millions of views. But like it's really worth a watch, and like it doesn't really feel like the average Lego promotional Brick film. Like it's much more just like a fun kind of, almost like Robot Chicken but clean, I guess you could say. Like it's more of just a sketch. It's like in this sort of faux film trailer style, and I just love the like corny voice acting, especially the line delivery of "he's getting away." Yeah, I also just like how, of course, it being an official Lego thing, like there's a bit more of an awareness to like doing stuff that looks funny specifically because it's made of Lego. Like when the cars are driving and the cars are just like really, really, really tiny Lego cars. And then of course like there's also the car interiors that are like massive, way bigger than what could fit inside the car exteriors. So I just feel like that sort of intentionality to how funny looking Lego can be is a good thing, a good principle that people could keep in mind in making their own brick films and in making them funnier. Because I feel like oftentimes brick filmers just sort of think, they don't think about the Lego-ness of brick films. That's just what they're making the film with, so they never really consider like it looks funnier because it's a tiny Lego car, or because it's a crappy looking Lego thing.
I gotta say, I wasn't familiar with this actually until you sent the link, and I was actually not expecting it to be, because I just watched it blind. I wasn't expecting it to be promotion for the Lego Movie. For one thing, it kind of it's aged really well. Like like it's really. I mean, I guess it's a really high quality upload from aside from anything, but it also it's yeah, you said it's surprising how I guess I think Robot Chicken but clean is definitely how I describe it. It's definitely got I really like the sense of humor. I think it's generally really funny. And yeah, I was quite surprised that it's not something that I would have been aware of. I guess I wasn't really on the internet at that time period, but then I guess I did have a DVD, so I mean there's not really much excuse. But yeah, no, I really enjoyed this one, and I really love the I'm assuming it's CG because it's promotion for the Lego Movie.
No, it's stop motion.
It is stop motion. Okay, yeah. I was going to say it'd be very good CGI if it was but then because I was assuming it was because it was sort of tied to Lego Movie, but it's really good animation. I really love the kind of the animation of both Michelangelo's beard and also the moustache as well. It's that's one of the things that really kind of struck out to me. I think it looks like they kind of is that beard like one piece that's been kind of broken, or
it's been cut,
yeah that looks really good, yeah, it kind of makes me. I kind of want to see this movie that's advertised. Yeah.
No, because I wasn't familiar with it at all until you sent the link. Because for Lego Movie marketing, I thought the only type of thing they did sort of to that was when they're making fun of the Ninja Skateboard movie. Remember that little promotional thing they did? I remember that, but I didn't know this was a thing at all, and I was surprised as well that it was stop motion, and that what was it? I could hear from the voice actor Abe Lincoln. It was the same one from the movie Will Forte, and I thought that was cool that he was in this little TV little ad as well. And I love the fake trailers type of thing, because you always get people I want this to be real now, and it's just funny. I don't know. I think it's a little funny idea. Time Cops, I think it was called. I forget. Or History Cops, History Police. I think that's what it was. But no, I thought it was a funny premise.
The director is actually the stop motion director of Anomalisa, the Charlie Kaufman film.
Oh, you serious?
Yeah.
Oh.
So he's trying to get him on. So what you're saying is that he should be our next guest on the podcast.
Next guest on the podcast.
Ooh, that would be cool.
I actually, funny enough, I was thinking about this, and this is a bit of a tangent, so I will make sure to steer this back to where it was before I say this. But it was funny. A while back, I was thinking about getting some sort of legacy brick filmers on, or like people who have made brick films that aren't like like aren't solely brick filmers. So I was interested in seeing the who the creator of I think I fell in love with a girl. I think music video for by White Stripes, but that's I didn't realize that it was like a huge name director. I was like, I don't know if that's going to be very possible, but who knows?
I mean, I guess if you did just email people and hope for the best, like it might be interesting to see who is the biggest person you could get.
I will say to the topic of that, I remembered for the YouTuber Game Theory, Matt Pat. I remembered, like, what was it? I tried to win and try and contact him, and he came back to me, and I was kind of just like, wait, you got back to me? I remember I just made a little post on the subreddit, then he was like, oh, here's my private email, so you can send me, like, you can send me these lines, and then it was just like, for like a good month or two, it was like, I have MatPat in my DMs right now.
Yeah.
I was very joyful, but no, I thought it was a really good short film though. Sorry, a little fake trailer, but I wish it was a real trailer. Or I wish, like, for the Lego Movie 2 promotion, they kind of added on to that, or, like, try and make, like, a fake sequel trailer. I think that would have been cool if they did that. Or maybe with, like, the new Lego films. I know with the Pharrell Williams films coming up, but whatever they do next, I hope I see more of that type of stuff, because I like it when they experiment with that, or just, like, be more fun with it.
Oh, that's right, we need Pharrell Williams on the podcast.
Pharrell on the podcast,
I actually... This video actually kind of did make me think back then, actually. Are you at all familiar... I'm not sure if people outside of the UK would be familiar with this at all, but there was I remember during the release of Lego Movie, they did this special kind of ad break on it's the ITV channel in the UK, and it was... a standard ad break, but every single commercial was Lego, and it was like created, and it's like the Brickfilm version. And there was a really famous like ad campaign in the UK at that time period with Vinnie Jones, where he was it's to do with like resuscitation, and it's set to Staying Alive because it's the same RPM as resuscitation. And,
I think I'm only familiar with those because I put them on a filmography on the wiki at some point.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah,
Although we have ITV in Ireland, but it's called UTV, which stands for Ulster Television.
Okay, that's interesting. But it was crazy because
TV Watcher.
It's one of those things where I just by chance happened to be I was visiting my granddad at the time at home, and he had ITV on TV, and it just so happened while I was visiting him that ad break happened, just completely by chance. I had no idea that was happening, and I was just like I actually witnessed it as it happened live, kind of thing. But yeah, I always remember that. That was great. I don't know if they ever did anything similar to that, like outside of the UK, if they did it in America or anything. I kind of feel like they would have, but I don't know.
Yeah, it makes me feel like if History Cops, or even if that like ad campaign on TV, if those had been released in a different era, you know, like if History Cops had been a DVD bonus feature in the early 2000s, like the Monty Python Brickfilm was, like it probably would be huge, like everyone in Brickfilm could know it, but now it feels pretty obscure, even though it has the wide visibility on Lego Movie DVD and Blu-ray.
It feels like something you see on like those like the Lego Iceberg videos, I feel like.
Yeah, if ever we make the Iceberg 2 on Bricks in Motion.
I'm still waiting for that.
Yeah, people have asked for it. But...
I really want to see Melting Point on the next iceberg. I really want to see that.
That I mean, I don't know if we'd ever be able to get Jonathan Vaughan on the podcast. Maybe he'd certainly be interesting, even though he hasn't been active in a while. But yeah. Well, the iceberg trend is kind of come and gone, and I don't know. We're not really into the idea of doing an iceberg 2 just because we did the first one. I
mean, it's not, you got to keep in keeping with the current trend, so we need to do Skibidi Bim or something.
Just add a little like Among Us character in the thumbnail or something like that.
Is Among Us still like a thing, like in terms of memes? But like,
Hopefully, I know it's getting popular again soon because I know they're making a TV show on it now.
Oh right, okay.
Yeah.
Like as always, it's always like 4 years after it was a thing.
Yeah.
It's like the Angry Birds movie that came out in 2016. It's like what?
Yeah.
Like
they're making a third one now.
Really?
wow.
Yeah. It's keeping going.
I know those were actually like decently received, which is a big surprise.
I like the second one.
Well, I remember I made a thread on the Bricks in Motion forums complaining about Angry Birds coming out and how it was like it was trending towards the the end of animated movies being good or something crazy. I don't know. Like there's I had a lot of interesting takes on the Bricks in Motion forums back in the day.
I just like how that was all just channeled into Angry Birds.
yeah.
Oh my god. You had that. I just watched it. I was like, I like the Yellow Bird. Didn't have any strong opinions against Angry Birds when I watched it.
I feel like I watched it. Yeah, I think I watched it like on a plane, and I can't remember. I may have fallen asleep, but my assessment of it was like, yeah, that's a kid. It exists. It was like
It is a movie.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess have we got any more to say about that film? It's particularly your pick, or shall we move on?
Well, it does have some very nice big sets. That's worth mentioning, I suppose.
Yeah, no, it is impressive for like a 1 minute short picture. I think it was impressive, like all the heart that was poured into that.
Yeah. Sometimes I am slightly hesitant to focus too much on like big fancy technical qualities that aren't approachable for newcomers, because like, you know, that's not the heart of what makes it a good watch, you know. Like it's just sort of a bonus, like an extra cherry on top. But sometimes I almost fear that people would think, oh, I'm not even going to bother aspiring to make something like inspired by that because it's out of my league, you know. But there's always influence people can take from, you know, little bits of animation or little bits of how the gags work that is slightly different than the style that you see among brick filmers, just sort of in the community, you know.
I think that if I'd say, I mean, why this would appeal to me specifically, I guess, is not necessarily the scope. Like on its own, like as a promotion for Lego Movie, the scope of it isn't necessarily something that's hugely that like exciting, because it's like, well, you know, it's the Lego Movie, you know, of course it's going to be like big scope. They're gonna get people to make something that's kind of like, you know, similar standard. I think a lot of it really is like, obviously watching it I am aware of the like production values and how good it looks, but you know, the thing that really kind of puts it above that, it really, I think, is the humor and like the kind of, yeah, that side of it I think is really funny, and the fact that it kind of doesn't feel like a promotion for Lego Movie.
Yeah, that's true.
It kind of it felt like very reminiscent to me of the police show trailer by in the 1909. It reminded me of that a lot, in terms of kind of like, in terms of like the comedic style of it. Yeah,
it almost feels like I can't believe that they got away with it. Like, they made a brick film that doesn't even feel like promotion at all, and it's stop motion, it's not CG. Like, it feels like, man, I don't think this would get made now.
Yeah,
especially in stop motion.
True. Yeah.
So yeah, nice to see promotional stuff in stop motion like that. But yeah, I think we should continue on to the third showcase pick. If you want to introduce it, Corey.
I will. My one was called Conscious Cloud, and it was made by a person called Maisel for the Brickfilm Day event this year, and it's kind of like a comedy type of drama type of film. It does have a good talks about mental health and everything, and I really like, because in the film there's an animated cloud, like a brick built cloud that's his like little subconscious that he's seeing, and I really like how that was done with like the eyes, and the voice acting was really solid, and they were able to get like an actual licensed band to do the music for it, and it got me into the band. That was really solid.
Wow.
And I really enjoyed the lighting, and there's one really good like 20-second like take that's it, like, walking into like this little like town, and like it just kept going. I thought it was impressive.
Yeah,
And
it's
I know
impressive.
it took 3 months for it to film. He was saying to me, 3 months, but like I thought it
Wow.
was impressive. Yeah, I liked it.
3 months?
3 months, yeah,
Wow.
That's remarkable.
yeah.
And your Sigfig is in the shot. I'm just playing it now. Yeah, it's really like the way it vibes the music. I like how the sort of extended parts that play the music. You know, like I guess it feels kind of uncommon in Brickfilms to have those parts that are a bit more like real films, where it allows just the sort of vibe to occur without a lot of speaking, like between the parts where the characters are speaking. I mean, of course, this is a bit longer than the average Brickfilm, so it can afford to sort of build things up like that.
Exactly, yeah. No, I just love the premise of it as well, of just like
Yeah.
having this little subconscious as like a little animated creature, and I just like how it's like all, you can see like the little brick thing that's just like animated up and down. I just like how expressive it is, like a little cartoony compared to like the Lego figure.
Yeah, the cloud animation is really nice with the eyes and everything. It is very expressive. It's true that, yeah, like the most important thing is the premise and the ideas and the narrative. And that kind of ties into something that I've been thinking a lot about recently, which is that, like, well, I'd like to see more people doing more narrative stuff in brick filming. Like, even if it's just a short comedy sketch, like,
Yeah.
if they come up with it themselves and it has like a setup and a payoff, even that feels like it would be doing a lot more than what a lot of people are doing currently. Like, I don't know, it feels like there's a lot of really short form stuff and a lot of just animating, taking existing meme audio and just putting it to Lego animation. But it's like,
Yeah.
well, you didn't really come up with anything, did you? And like some of the animation in this is like, kind of rough, but like that doesn't matter to me. Like, I'd rather see something with some kind of rough animation that has ideas, that has a narrative and structure and something to it, like some actual meat on the bone. Like, I'm kind of annoyed at the moment that like the state of like critiquing Brick films, it always comes down to like, oh, here's a way you could make the animation a little bit smoother, a little bit better. Here's a way you can make the lighting a little bit better. But like, if it's just another fight scene with no plot, like, who cares if the animation's a tiny bit better than the last one? Like, there's another fight scene and another fight scene and another fight scene. It's like, I'd rather the critiques be, hey, can you make a film with a premise, like with a plot?
I mean,
rather
can you
than
make
just
a film?
like technical stuff.
Yeah.
So like, I like, it doesn't matter if you could say, oh, that arm movement could have been a little less, it bumped the table, like, that stuff doesn't matter when it's a film that actually has ideas and a narrative.
I do think
Or
about
it
that.
matters very little.
Yeah. I do think about that quite a lot sometimes with like, my own stuff. Whenever like there's like a little bit of like an imperfection, maybe like the lighting setup is slightly different from one shot to another, in such a way where I'm thinking like, oh, do I need to like add it, adjust it in post, or that kind of stuff. But to a certain degree, I do think it kind of doesn't really matter as long as like, I mean, there is like there's a certain amount where you would be drawing a line a little bit, I'd say, but like generally speaking, I think that if you're conveying the things you want to convey, like, that's what's going to like stick with people. Not like, I don't know, the lighting is slightly different on this shot, like, I think that sometimes you need to kind of keep in mind the idea that like this is like, in a lot of instances it's like one person making something, and it's okay for it to be imperfect in many ways, as long as there is actually like an attempt to do something different and actually have like a story behind it. And I really like the kind of the progression of the story, the way in which it leads to a little bit of a sort of twist, towards the end, where the kind of the clouds kind of reveals itself to be destructive, and how his realization is to kind of distance himself from that, kind of essentially a kind of mindset, right? That's kind of clouding his judgment. I guess that's kind of the how you say with that. And yeah, I do like that there's like that kind of visual kind of, I guess, visual symbolism, but also there's a lot to kind of take out of it, and kind of make you think. You know, I'm sure it's one of those films as well where, like, if you watched it in like a repeat, you'd see it in different lights as well. And yeah, I think it's something which you probably would have taken for granted in like in the past when it came to, you know, Brit films. Like, of course, there's like ideas and stuff being conveyed, but like nowadays it kind of feels
ideas.
Like...
Yeah.
My lord.
But yeah, it is getting to a point where that's almost like a legitimate phrase in some ways. But no, but like generally, like I'm not just mentioning that because it has ideas. I do actually like what it is saying, and yeah, and also yeah, I do appreciate that it's taking its time as well with a longer runtime to actually kind of, because sometimes I think you notice it a lot in and I want to be careful how I say this because I don't want to make the implication that like, oh, the longer role entries or whatever are like, they're the good ones. But there are always going to be a couple of films especially in the contests where someone will be trying to kind of convey like quite an ambitious story, but it will happen in like, it'll be like done in like a minute and a half, and it's sort of like, it doesn't have the beats, it just has the kind of like this thing happens, this thing happens, this thing happens, and then that's kind of, you know, you do have to have a natural progression with a story, and to actually make it kind of flow. And this does that, I think, really well.
It is true that I always feel like we want to be careful about, we don't want it to come across like we're saying, oh, longer Rick films are better, because like, yeah, if somebody made like a 1 minute long like comedy sketch, like if they come up with the joke themselves, that's a good thing. That's creative. You know, it doesn't need to be a like 8 minute long original film for it to qualify as a film that actually has ideas and originality and creativity. Like, if it's just a gag, but if you come up with a gag, that's something.
That is something that I think that like I wouldn't want people to come out of this thinking that like, oh, I can't make I just make like, you know, 30-second clips. I can't make an actual film because that needs to be like more than 4 minutes long, whatever, you know. Like, I don't want people to kind of think that way, because absolutely, like, I mean, I think a prime example of something which, like, you know, we mentioned Michael Hughes before, and I think that over time people have had there's a weird kind of relationship I feel people have with like Michael Hickok's films. At a certain point in time, I think like people who starting out when I started, or I guess like Corey would probably be similar in a way, because I think when you started, Michael Hickok's was still pretty much in his height of popularity. But
like,
you know,
Shopping just came out and everything.
Yeah, and I think at that time period, people starting out, like, he's one of those people that people kind of got, you know, which got them into brick filming. And then there's this kind of point in time where people were like, oh, his stuff is really simple, it's just Lego shopping, it's not like, you know, whatever. But then I think people have kind of gone back to it a bit more in seeing them, I mean, recognizing that there was a charm to it, and that like that he was doing more than a lot of the kind of clone channels were doing. But I do think that genuinely, like, there is more like value in stuff like Lego shopping than there are in a lot of stuff that's kind of made today. I think because there is, like, I don't know, there's actually stuff going on. There is somewhat of a plot in like Lego shopping.
Events occur. It's not just a meaningless fight scene.
Yeah. Well, even like the pizza, like the pizza delivery movies, like there was like,
Ooh, I love those.
that kind of thing of like each one kind of like progressing from the previous one, and like the guy just trying to deliver a pizza, and then everything that happens in between. Like there is like an actual like beginning, middle, and end in that, you know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I don't know. It just sometimes it feels like wow, that the bar is that where we're at? It's like the bar has been lowered so much that like any structure at all is commendable. That doesn't apply to this film though. This film is good. The film that we're talking about.
No,
We're off on a
it's
tangent
good,
now. It's pretty
yeah.
much unrelated.
But like, I think the film in general is solid. I know like for the animation, but like I know there's like it's a bit rough. Like I know like there's like bits of hair on set. You can tell when the camera moves a little bit, like when he's like masking stuff. But I like seeing that more than just like a fully smooth film or something like 6 frames per second. I like seeing the rawness of it. It's like I love watching art in films when you can see like the fingerprints on the clay. Even in the Lego movie, I like how they added the feature of like you can see little prints on the figures. I like that type of like it makes it feel more like human to me. I don't know. I like seeing like the man-made version of it. If you get me.
The hairs did kind of like bother me.
I don't know. Maybe they'll release like the hairless cut or something like that. You never know. Just like crop that out.
Well, I kind of I get what you're saying about the idea that having that kind of sense of you know what's weird. I mean, it kind of goes back to like what I was saying about the like Wes Anderson, his style. Obviously, he doesn't leave hairs and stuff in his films, but that kind of more specifically, that I really like the something I remember. Again, a very specific example of something that resonated with me when I was a kid. I remember like I used to like watching Shaun the Sheep, which is the spin-off of Wallace and Gromit, and they used to do effects like the water was like sort of, I think it was literally like sort of like clear, like sort of like almost like film kind of material, and like pouring water into a bucket, and I really liked that like I could see how that was made, and it's not hiding the fact that it is what it is, but it just works. And for me, that really is one of those things that like I remember like to this day, because it made me think about the idea of using kind of like physical material to like make things, even because I didn't grow up with a lot of Lego, so I had to use like other things other than Lego, and yeah, I think sometimes people kind of lose sight of that a little bit when it comes to trying to hide stuff, or make something look too perfect, when it's sort of how is it making it better? How is it making it better that you're hiding these things?
Yeah, true.
And then it's I
love the plastic wrap water, and you know what the material is, but it's really charming.
Yeah, it's charming about the Lego style as well for it.
Yeah, and that becomes way more memorable for me. I think it's one of the charms of stop motion in general. It's like one of those things which you remember. Like if it's not, if it was just like a standard like CG effect, I wouldn't remember that. It's not. Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely, when this came out for Brickfilm Day, like as part of the playlist, this was definitely one of the ones that I gravitated towards the most. It's the kind of thing I was really happy to see getting made.
Yeah.
And yeah, hopefully, if Brickfilm Day is to continue, hopefully people would continue to make sort of more substantial projects like this one.
I really like
have to be as long as this one, but similar vibe, similar sort of original artistry to it.
I really like the idea of, things like Brickfilm Day are great because it's there isn't that competition element of it. I don't want people to think that the kind of the competition, the contests are the time to make these sort of stories. Like, we're gonna make a film, like a proper film, because I could win. I really like that Brickfilm Day can kind of inspire people to just do something and to be a part of it. Make a brick film.
Yeah.
That being said, there obviously are a lot of stuff in Brickfilm Day that doesn't necessarily fit that. But
I have had that thought recently, like slight concern, like are people largely only incentivized to make original brick films when a contest comes along these days? Like, between the contests, are there practically going to be none? Which would be kind of depressing, I guess.
We have same here.
I think I may have kind of touched on this a bit in the past. I mean, we definitely have talked a lot about, like, in the past about YouTube and brick filming, like, but one thing that I do think about quite a bit is the idea that it really almost entirely is based around what motivates people to make stuff in the first place, because really, whatever you do as a hobby, it should at least start from the idea that you're excited about making something, and I'm sure that is the case for most people that are making stuff like that. They want to make brick films, but it does feel like so much of the stuff that you see is kind of based around the idea of do they even want to make it, or are they wanting to kind of get like views and attention? And that's not like,
it's very very hard to decide, yeah.
and it's like and I think like the idea of, I don't know, like being noticed and getting attention on the internet isn't a hobby. That's not really something which someone should strive for in and of itself. Like, it's definitely great if you can make something like, you know, and again, this is the thing, like, you can still make stuff that does get views and sort of, like, you know, does get a level of attention, but like it should stem from actually making something you want to make. And I think that if you ever kind of start to evolve in a sense of you don't see yourself making that stuff anymore, but just for your own sake, and you want to make other things, you should you should kind of be driven towards what you want to do rather than what like an audience of people want from you. You know, that's yeah.
Sometimes I do sort of worry that people find themselves in a bit of a loop where they find an audience who are like, yes, you know, more of this, basically just keep making the same video again and again and again and again and again. We want it. We are the audience who wants it. And so, but because they've found their audience, then they're kind of, they also get stuck in that kind of loop.
Yeah, they're scared to like branch off or try something new with the audience in as well, because like we want to go back to the original thing.
Yeah, like, exactly. Yeah, no, go back and just keep doing the same type of video. Yeah.
It kind of narrows down what you're kind of allow yourself to make. Yeah. And I think there is also that kind of sense of I've definitely seen that with some YouTube channels that like completely removed from brick filming that you know, stuff that I really liked, and then they kind of decide to kind of like they make one video that does really well, and then everything's trying to kind of recapture that, or like they'll make other things and that won't do as well as that, so they try and do like something similar to what they did before, and it's sort of like this is the sequel to that video and it doesn't do nearly as well, and then it kind of like, you know,
like lightning in a bottle type of thing.
Yeah.
Is there anything more to say about Conscience Cloud?
I thought it stood out to me anyway with the Brickfilm Day list from this year, and I just like the whole like style of the film. I just wish we get like those types of tones more, because it's like, I don't know, for me anyway, I don't see that type of like serious topic type of like brick films that much you see nowadays for me. But no, I really like that. I don't know, the premise, like, it stuck with me after I watched it, because for other ones, like, I do like a lot of comedy and like the skits, but sometimes like with like a good story, like it keeps with you, you know.
And of course, something that we've talked about in the podcast a lot recently, like even though it does have some serious topics, it's still done in that sort of funny Lego way. It's not trying to be so self-serious that it's just like, you know, unintentionally funny by being just, you know, ridiculous. It's
taking itself seriously enough for it to land, like what you know, to as you know what it's saying, but it also, like, it doesn't really have too much of like a tonal shift to a point where it's like oh wait, this feels out of place with the rest of it kind of thing. It kind of feels like you know, it has that kind of like scene towards the end, which is kind of like the kind of big kind of like, I guess like sort of like kind of climax, I guess, of the film.
Kinda.
But it kind of, it works. Like, it kind of feels like it doesn't feel out of place with the rest of the film. And I think it handled it in a way which, like, it was kind of respectful to that idea, but also doesn't try and get too, like, serious and like dramatic. You know, it kind of it did and I think it achieved that really well. Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. It's been really great, and I know you've been, you know, you have kind of been on the podcast before, but it's been a while.
Yeah, it was
so
for
it's
the,
been...
I think a year now, honestly. But
yeah,
it
and
feels
I think
so weird.
last time you were kind of distracted by making a thack entry at the same time.
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
because what was that? I was trying to like join a conversation while animating. I was like, okay, I'm trying to get this, and trying to like join back in, just something like that. But
yeah, so
sure, I remembered for my thack entry, I used an excuse to make it an Among Us video, because I remembered. I'm trying to think of the theme of it now, but I remembered I was able to relate it back to Among Us, because I don't know why, I'm just still really into the game. I just never grew out of it. But nah, sure, I love to be on that stream, and then again, I like usually for the background, I listen to some of these like for the Edbound, the Main Live TV, for some of the new ones as well, like Johnny. I really don't want to like mispronounce it. Johnny Peppers. Is that the name?
Johnny Peppers, yeah.
Johnny Peppers, yeah, for those types of episodes. But no, when I got the DM for today, like a few days ago, it was like, oh my god, this thing I was listening to. Now I'm gonna be listening to it myself.
Yeah.
But, no, it's really nice being back on here again. It's very surreal.
Yeah, it's nice to give you a solo episode. Yeah.
A little solo episode with a little solo face, I guess.
Yeah. So we have the face, as I said earlier, we've got the face reveal now. So
Yeah,
that means
face
now,
reveal,
like, if you ever do like a behind the scenes video or anything, it feels less awkward because you don't have to be like, oh yeah, this is where I look, by the way. You know, you just
I want to
you got it done.
get so many DMs now, being like, I just saw your face. Like, you look like this. I don't know. I'm gonna get so many of those now. After this time,
I'm unsubscribing.
No.
Oh, yeah, I'm half thinking, should we do like a clickbait kind of, you know?
If you want to, you could do like the little red circle with the arrows, so like just specific on my camera. Maybe when this goes up, like by the time this is uploaded, I might do a little post just being like, by the way, I revealed my face. This is what I look like now. Get over it.
You get all the views from that.
Or just edit my face on my logo, like my Lego Fizz fig or something like that.
So yeah.
Cool.
Goodbye.
Well, bye.
Bye. See yous.
How long can we wave?
We can...
Bye. Wait, me.
I like that I'm waving so fast. It's literally like not registering. It's just like it's like.
Oh yeah, it's like 2 frames just.
Yeah.